Hey, what up, guys? Coming in with another What's Next. This is on my number 2 super middleweight in the world right now, the WBA super champion at super middleweight, Callum Smith. That's 168 pounds. He's undefeated. He's from the United Kingdom. Smith last fought in November of last year when he took on John Ryder in a mandatory title fight. Ryder was the interim champion, and he actually struggled with Ryder, surprisingly. Not many people thought he was going to struggle with them. He did struggle with them. It was a close fight. Smith walked away with a blowout unanimous decision, which I think is what was the robbery. I don't have an argument that Smith could have won the fight. Maybe Ryder could have won the fight. It was close, but the scores that the judges came back with were just horrendous. I think it was 9 rounds to 3 in that area, and it was just a terrible scoring done by the judges, so that created the controversy. Callum Smith was in the running for Canelo. He got offered the fight, and he turned it down. Him and Eddie Hearn turned it down, saying it was a low ball offer. It was too low. After that, he started negotiating for a rematch with John Ryder, but then he was kind of put back on the table for a Canelo fight as a possible option, and then Canelo ended up choosing Billy Joe Saunders. Now, again, Canelo was supposed to be facing Saunders, and it looked like he was passing on Saunders and going to go straight into a Triple G fight, which still is possible, but Triple G's people are saying they're not going straight to Canelo, that they want to have 1, maybe 2 fights before a Canelo fight, and that would make it maybe impossible for September. So right now it's kind of up in the air. I still think Callum Smith could be possible, but let's take a look through the top 10 and see what's next for the undefeated WBA super champion at super middleweight, Callum Smith. We start with number 1, Canelo Alvarez. Until Canelo decides on his next opponent, just because Smith was an option, I think, just because he was an option before, I think he's still an option. And tell you the truth, that might be Canelo's best option, and here's why. Billy Joe Saunders Canelo chose him, but Billy Joe had some domestic issues, and he got I think he's been suspended by the British Boxing Board of Control. I think that's part of the reason why Canelo said the fight was never finalized and they're not going through with it. Canelo had a tough time choosing Billy Joe prior to this. With all the Me Too movement going on and everything, I don't know if Canelo should give the opportunity to Billy Joe. I think he might pass on that, and I think he might face Callum Smith, since Callum Smith was the next option. That's very possible in my opinion. And Callum Smith, I think he should wait around to see what Canelo does, because Canelo says he wants Triple G next, but again, Triple G's people are saying they don't want to go straight to Canelo, so that might leave Callum Smith the option to face Canelo at 168. So we just got to wait and see, but I do think he is still possible as the next opponent for Canelo. Callum Smith's number 2. So number 3 is former 2-time middleweight champ Daniel Jacobs. I would love to see it. I just don't think it happens next. These guys are both with Matchroom. It's an easy fight to make, but Jacobs has said he wants to take another kind of lower level opponent before he steps up, like maybe top 10, but not bottom of the top 10, not a top guy and a champion next. He wants to do that before he goes in against one of those guys, and I think he's pretty solid on that. I think Danny's probably going to face Gabriel Rosado next in his second fight at super middle before he takes it. So I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I'm going to lean towards the less likely for next for Callum Smith and Danny Jacobs. Number 4 is undefeated WBC champion David Benavidez. Not going to happen next. Benavidez has a optional defense against Romer Angulo that he's taking, and then after that he's going after Avni Yildirim, his mandatory challenger, most likely. So I don't see him and I don't see Matchroom and PBC getting together anyways, but especially because David has things going on. Benavidez does. Number 5 is undefeated WBO champion Billy Joe Saunders. Now, if Canelo doesn't take on, say he gets Triple G or anybody else, and he doesn't take on Billy Joe or Callum Smith, I have no idea why these two guys wouldn't get together later this year. They're both with Matchroom. They're both undefeated champions, and they're both dying to get a big fight. So why not say fuck it and fight each other? This is the fight, I think. Again, obviously Canelo's the hot choice. You're going to want to face Canelo first. But if you can't get the Canelo fight, this is the fight to take, in my opinion. You have to go after each other. It'd be a huge fight in the United Kingdom. They're both undefeated champions, And, you know, they're both at the top, towards the top of the division. Very good fighters. You know, it really makes a lot of sense. And it wouldn't be just a big fight. The best thing is it wouldn't be just a big fight in the United Kingdom. It'd be a huge fight there. But worldwide, it'd be a pretty solid fight. DAZN would pick it up. It's an easy fight to make. They're both with Matchroom. They're both undefeated. Both world champions. Why not? I think this is the most logical choice if neither guy gets Canelo next. And they should do it. I'm really, really hoping that this fight is possible next and might happen. Number 6 is undefeated IBF champion Caleb Plant. Not possible for Smith and Plant to come together. And the reason why is Plant's with the PBC, Smith's with Matchroom. I just think they both have options on both sides, and this isn't a big enough fight to cross the street for right now, so I just don't see it. Number 7 is former 2-time champion Anthony Dirrell. Almost the same thing, except Dirrell's not a champion. So I think Callum Smith's desperate for opponents. He would consider Dirrell, but I think he has options with Matchroom, and I really don't think Dirrell would want to face Callum Smith next and go out of the PBC, so I'm not seeing it. Number 8 is former champion Caleb Truax. Another one, I think Callum Smith would be desperate. If he's desperate and he can't get any of the big name guys or Matchroom guys, I think he would welcome the fight, but I'm not sure Al Heyman would allow Truax to cross the street and face Callum Smith. Maybe, but I think he'd want to keep him in-house and face his own guys. Number 9, Lionel Thompson. Pretty much the same thing. Does Smith want to take the risk against a guy who's had a whole career at light heavyweight and kind of has an awkward style and can box? I think it's a bad matchup for Callum Smith, and he's not a big name anyways, is this guy, Lionel Thompson. So I don't see this one being possible. Plus, it's PBC working with Matchroom, so I don't see it. And then finally, at number 10 is a rematch with former interim champion John Ryder. Yeah, I definitely can see this fight happening. It would have to be the case that that Canelo doesn't choose Callum Smith, and then he can't get the unification with Billy Joe down. Then I think very possible that we see Smith and John Ryder go at it again, because I think Smith wants to shut John Ryder up. Again, he was negotiating with Ryder when it originally looked like the fight with Canelo was off the table. You know, so it definitely could happen. They're both with Matchroom. Definitely a makeable fight. And that's it for the top 10 against Callum Smith. So what do I think Callum Smith is going to do next? Honestly, I at this point, I don't even care. I just hope it's against a top 10 guy. I really do. I think, obviously, the Canelo fight should be the fight he goes after first, and the fight I'd love to see the most. Second after that would be the showdown, a unification showdown with Billy Joe Saunders. I would love that fight, and I don't think there's anything stopping them from that. You know, Danny Jacobs, the fact that he's stopping himself because he wants to get another tune-up bout in, that would be my third best option, but I don't think it's going to happen because Danny's stopping the fight because he wants to get his feet wet more at 168. Makes sense. And but probably the best option through all of it, and most likely to happen, is John Ryder, a rematch with him. Go erase any doubts and go knock Ryder out or beat the shit out of him over 12 rounds and prove to everybody that, you know, you won you were the rightful winner the first time. So, and you're the better man now. So that's a last option if he can't get the two big fights though with Canelo and Billy Joe. And I just hope Callum Smith gets a big fight, and that's what's next on Callum Smith, my number 2 fighter in the 168-pound super middleweight division. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.